Hello.
Ash, sit down. Can you sit down, please? Or lay down? Good girl. Right in the middle.
Oh, wow.
She's super friendly.
Say hello.
Oh, goodness.
Thank you.
Can you come over here? And I get like compliments on her. People are like, I could never do that. I'm like, yes, you can. You can go do that. You just have to take that step out of your comfort zone. And then you're like, wow, I love spending time with myself. So.
I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the dog's name is Ashley.
Ash. Just Ash.
Ash. And now could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Kaycie.
Kaycie, it's good to be with you today.
Yes, likewise. Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. So the first question is, what's your energy like today?
It's been kind of mixed today. Of course, in light of recent events, I've been feeling very heavy, very vulnerable. But overall, I woke up this morning, had a really great morning. Ash and I went and got breakfast and was just like reading a book, having a good meal. But then as like the day went on, it's kind of come and gone in waves. But then that's where I was like, I need to be outside. I like being in nature, being in greenery. That's like what kind of brings me back to center and re-energizes me. So here we are, hanging out at the park.
And that's been a pattern today that you're the third person I've heard that from. I needed to recharge, so I came to nature.
Yep.
I love that. So you already gave me a really good answer to that. So like, do you remember what you felt like right when you woke up?
Right. Well.
First feeling.
Oh, first feeling. What was the first? I think I felt really grateful this morning because after like feeling really heavy yesterday, had a lot of really great people in my life that I was able to support myself with and be around. And so kind of woke up this morning and was like, that was what I needed. Like I got to spend time with people that are close to me and were there for me yesterday. So woke up feeling very grateful.
That's beautiful. I'm happy for you. So what do you like to do with your life?
I work a lot, but I don't work to live. I live to work. Is that the right way that those go in order? Sit down, babe. And so, yeah, I work so that I can do the things that bring me the most pleasure. That's traveling, going to live music, being outside, being active is really important to me. So I usually am up around like 4:30 every morning, hit the gym before work, and then go for like a walk by the water after work to kind of decompress after a long work day. I read a lot in my spare time. I don't mess around in the kitchen. I do love to cook. So, yeah.
Whoa. we got a high-powered person here. I wish I could wake up early.
See, I'm a morning person. I'm asleep at but usually before the sun's down. I can't break the habit now. It's just kind of there.
Wow. Wow. So what are simple things that bring you joy, perhaps even mundane?
This is something I reflect on pretty often is like what my simple pleasures are. I love like blue skies and like crisp weather and like this is oddly specific, but like where I can drive with the windows down. I have a specific playlist for that mood, and I swear that whole experience like raises my energy and it makes me feel so good. I love a cup of black coffee in the morning, a good book. Other simple pleasures. Seeing other people really happy is what like genuinely makes me super happy.
I love that. So I'm a Buddhist person, like I told you, and like there's a word for that. It's taking joy in others' joy. Mm-hmm. Joy in others' joy. When you really develop that, it's like one of the most happy ways to be a human.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I love that. What makes you feel peaceful?
Solidarity. I find a lot of peace when I'm by myself and I'm able to reflect on either what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, and like I'm an introverted extrovert. Once I'm like with my people, it's really easy for me to like sit down and be talking with them. But then when my social battery runs out, I definitely need to take a step back and recharge. And so like this morning, whenever I travel, granted I live here now, but like when I travel, I love going and getting meals by myself and like sitting at the bar and chatting it up with a bartender and just doing things by myself. Like that independence is something I find a lot of peace in.
Thank you for sharing. Where is your happy place? It could be anywhere.
My mind immediately goes to, I volunteered in Thailand a couple years ago, and like I can just take myself back into that, like that setting and those feelings and like all of the different senses that I had experienced there. That's somewhere that will always have a piece of my heart, even though I'm not sure the next time I'll get to make my way back over there. But it's definitely somewhere that when I think about like the happiest, most peaceful time, like most fulfilling times of my life, like that's where I was.
I don't know if I've heard anything about Thailand, but I'm under the impression that it's beautiful there.
It's amazing. I haven't gone to like the beaches or done any of the islands. I was like way up in the jungles, but it was so incredible. And like the people were really what made it. The Thai people are so incredible.
Wow. If you could do anything right now, it doesn't have to be realistic, what would it be?
Pack up my life and just travel the world. That's like, I want to see the world. The world has too much to offer to stay in one place. I went on a trip around Europe back in the winter, and so there's still so much more out there to explore. And even in the States, I have not explored nearly enough of our national parks or like bigger cities. So that would be what I would love to just get up and do.
Domestically, if you're able to go to Grand Teton, go.
I want to try and make it up to Montana this summer and like that whole area, go hit like Glacier National Park and just that whole like loop of national parks. Granted, what happened in Yellowstone, I'm not sure when that'll be open again, but yeah, it's so gorgeous up there. So I've heard. Haven't been.
I'm going to Montana in August.
Are you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to keep in touch so I can hear all about it.
8-day backpacking trip.
Oh my gosh, I'm jealous. That'll be amazing.
Yee. Changing gears, how does love impact your life?
Oh, that's a big one. Love is a huge part of my life. I think it's very central in my life, but in so many different capacities. Like loving what I do is something that's really important to me. And for the first time in a really long time, I love what I do. And it's a career path I never saw myself going down, but I'm surrounded by the most incredible people. They're also driven, empowering. So I love my job. I don't think I've ever had a more supportive, like stable group of people in my life, in the sense of like I have such amazing family, amazing friends. I've made such great friends since being out here and sharing love with them and getting to see them like do so much with their lives brings me a lot of love, kind of going back to what you were saying about finding joy in the joy of others. Romantic love, I'm definitely a hopeless romantic. So that definitely is something where I'm like, it's there. I think, yeah. And then just love in the world. The world needs more of it. And so that's where like love and compassion are so important. And I think that's why it's so great that you're doing what you're doing, because you're spreading that.
Thank you. And I'm really happy that you have the community that you need and that you have a job that you enjoy. That goes such a long way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Wow. I'm so happy for
Thank
you. So maybe I know the answer to this based on what you said, but do you experience as much love as you hope to experience?
I think there are times where I definitely don't feel as much love, but I know it's there. And that's kind of something I've had to work through in the last couple years, is acknowledging like how loved I am and how much love is in my life. And there's definitely been times that I've had to walk through that where I'm like, I live such a beautiful life. Why do I feel a certain way? And I think that it's totally okay for people to have those feelings and have to sit with them sometimes. But then at the end of it, recognizing the system that you have around you and where love can pour into your life. And even if it's just sitting by yourself in a park, like finding love in that experience, in that moment.
Find it where you are.
Yeah, find it where you are. I love that.
Yeah. Do you feel as connected in this world as you wish to be?
I'm getting back to it. I used to feel like I was super just aligned with like myself, the universe, this earth, and this lifetime that I was living in. And then just the last couple years have been super crazy. Of course, with everything going on, I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I got more in tune with myself because there was nothing left to do. It's like none of us were working, and so I was able to turn a lot of that energy that I was constantly spelling out elsewhere. I was getting to internalize that a little bit more. And so then I've undergone a lot of really big changes in the last 4 months of my life. And so getting back to that, spending more time with myself, finding love, peace, joy in where I'm at, and having moments like this where I'm able to kind of turn more inwards in order to be more connected to myself and everything around me.
Constant process.
Yes, absolutely.
What role does nature play in your life?
A huge role. So I grew up in the Midwest and super green, obviously. Grew up like playing in the woods as a kid. And then I moved to the desert, and that was like something I was always missing, was like the greenery. And so moving back out here, having the water right here, and just everywhere you drive, it's so green, it's so luscious. And so I come here probably once a week and just sit with myself and soak in, and like we're saying, recharging in nature. It plays such a huge part in my life.
Me too. Yeah. Which desert?
Gosh, I don't know. The Mojave, like the West Coast. Is that the Mojave
Which
desert?
state?
Nevada.
What part?
Las Vegas.
Oh, cool. I grew up in a desert too.
Okay. And on the West Coast or?
Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, okay, yeah. I drove through there. The drive from Nevada to Texas, it all looks the same until you hit like the middle of Texas. Yeah. So.
I've done it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What are your goals? Could be narrow, could be wide.
So my biggest goal, and it sounds super cliche, but I've always felt like for as long as I can remember, my purpose in this lifetime is to like make a difference in the world and the lives of others, and like leading a life of impact. So that's definitely a huge goal of mine. But as far as more narrow, more like short-term goals, definitely, I guess, experience what this next chapter of my life has to offer in the fullest without having to narrow myself financially, because that's, of course, a big thing. So being in a place where I can do a little bit more and live a bit more comfortably, that's probably my biggest short-term goal for right now. And just get back out there with meeting people, experiencing new things, and a brand new city.
I support that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what do you hope for?
In what sense?
Your choice.
Oh gosh, what do I hope for? I hope for things in this country to look up. I hope for things to not continue in the direction that they're going. In fact, I hope they take a full 180 and turn back around, because we were making so much progress and we just took so many big steps backwards in the last 24 hours and in the last several months and years. And so I have hope in humanity. I have hope that people will love a little bit harder and not pay so much attention and pay so much mind to what is going on with other people when it doesn't impact them. And just, loving more, being compassionate, being hopeful in themselves of what could be if people just hoped more.
Nice. What matters most to you in life? Yeah, I think you've covered it so many times, but maybe there's a...
I would say passion, like being passionate about everything that you do, because that's where you find fulfillment in your life. And whether that's passion in your relationships and what you're doing and who you're surrounded by and like what you're doing for work, or just like with your free time, just finding passion in that is super, super important to me.
I like that response. Passion. What are some of the things that you worry about?
Oh God, how much time do we have? Definitely worrying about the future. That's something that I've tried to be more present with, is just being in the now and worrying about what's like in this moment or what's right in front of me versus what could be 10 steps ahead, kind of taking that step back. I used to worry a lot about change and being afraid of it, but now I've been forced to embrace it, and I look forward to change. So that, I guess that doesn't really answer the question. I I used to worry. I keep saying what I used to worry about. What do I presently worry about? I really think it's the future, and especially kind of bringing it back to what's going on right now in this present moment, worrying about what the next couple months and years are going to look like, and just really putting as much hope and fire behind that as you can to hope to make a difference.
We'll do our best.
We'll do our best, exactly.
What is something about you that without qualification, without thought, without judgment, that you're just proud of?
I think my independence. That's something I really pride myself on because I picked up my life and moved by myself across the country and have just been kind of figuring it out as I go. And yeah, like I said, I've got that amazing support system, but I love to travel by myself. I don't care about going to concerts by myself, going to dinners by myself. I found a lot of power in that in the last few years, and I'm really proud of that. And I get like compliments on it where people are like, I could never do that. I'm like, yes, you can. You can go do that. You just have to take that step out of your comfort zone, and then you're like, wow, I love spending time with myself. So
I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you. What's going on over here?
She's excited.
Issue? What's the big issue?
What's wrong?
I know, what's going on, Ash? What are you hopeful for?
Bone, food,
You're right.
play. If you had to give a bit of advice, one piece of advice to the people who are listening, what would you tell them?
Oh gosh. One piece of advice. I think that would be every day. Hey, Ash, come here.
Come back.
Ash, come here. Hey, come here. Good girl.
Good girl.
Good girl. That would wake up every single day and live the most authentic, genuine version of yourself, because at the end of the day, you're going to bed with your own thoughts that night. And I think that it's so important that you find gratitude or a silver lining in every single day. And I think that it's when you're doing what you love and when you live your life as your most authentic self, it gets easier and easier to find that.
I'll take that advice.
Okay.
Do you think our society and government does enough to foster a culture of tolerance and compassion?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that's where I have hope and I have faith in our generation to kind of reinstill that in society. I feel like we were getting there and then things went way off course and society has become completely intolerant of anything that's different from what they think, what they know, what they believe. And like I was saying earlier, it's like, if that doesn't directly impact you, what's the big fucking deal? Why does who someone else loves have any impact on you? Why does what I want to do with my body have anything to do with you? Why does everybody's situation is unique, and I don't think anybody has the right to judge another person based off of what they're doing, what their situations are, and how they have to navigate those. And I think our society can be a lot more compassionate to those unique situations. And so I think our generation, especially in a city like this, is doing a really great job of banding together and empowering those people and giving amplifying voices where they are needed. And yeah, I think we're going to be the society that changes this, or we're going to be the generation that changes the course of the society and where things are going, and our government, and put some hope back in everything.
That's my hope as well. So how do you think culture is shifted? Who do you think does the heavy lifting?
I think it's all of our responsibilities to, again, be more compassionate towards one another. Like, everybody has a story and you don't know what that is unless you sit down and have a conversation like this with them. So being compassionate to every single person that you meet and embracing those differences in each other, because we don't really have culture in America. And so I think our culture should be doing the heavy lifting is on an individual basis, but having all of those individuals come together as the collective to hear one another out and our culture being how unique and how different we are. Like, that's what America was built on, was so many people from so many different directions and backgrounds and beliefs being able to come together for a common cause, belief, whatever. And so in order to do that, though, we have to be able to listen to one another, be open to one another, be tolerant of one another's differences.
Absolutely. Thanks for your response to that. I'm glad I didn't bias the question. I simplified the question before asking. I'm glad I let you carry that. So that's the end of my written questions now. Just what's on the top of my mind is, like, you already mentioned a little bit about it, but basically, how did the pandemic impact you, and what did you maybe learn from it and coming out of it?
Yeah, so going into the pandemic, I was a full-time college student working a full-time job and like extra like part-time jobs on the side, and I never had time for myself. And when I did have time for myself, that was me taking time and energy I did not have and giving it to the people who I thought deserved it and who did deserve it. But I had nothing left for myself. Like, my fuel tank was empty all the time. So when the world shut down, I still had school to worry about, but I was able to spend so much more time with myself and what I needed and just learning a lot more about myself. And I was able to grow so much out of the pandemic. I feel like it gave me the time and that I never would have given myself otherwise. I never would have slowed down. And now it's like, if I had a really long day at the office, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna make myself a nice dinner and I'm gonna spend time with myself and read my book and go to bed. I don't need to bring my work home with me every day. And of course, that's gonna be a day-by-day thing. But for the most part, I make so much more of an effort to make time for myself and what's important to me as a priority. Whereas before, it took such a backseat.
So I take it you don't struggle to love yourself. Do you accept yourself? Do you love yourself?
It depends on the day. Totally depends on the day. There are days where it's hard and it's confusing and it's like I know where I want to be and it's frustrating. I've come a long way in the last year. I would say last year was probably the hardest year of, I wouldn't say the worst. It was the hardest year of my life. And so seeing where I am now, I'm really proud of myself, and I do love where I'm at in my journey. And I think that's what it comes down to, is loving where you're at in your journey, because that journey it's not linear. You're going to have those days that are a lot higher than others and a lot lower than others, and being genuinely compassionate towards yourself no matter what the day is. So
good insight here, folks. So do you believe that you're like worthy and valuable and deserving of good things?
Yes. And again, took me a long time on dark roads to get here, but I'm very grateful to be here because I know the goodness that I have like in my heart and my soul and what I want to, and I like to think I do give to others. And so what you put out is what you get back in anything that you do. Very big on like the law of attraction. And so when you're manifesting the good things that happen to you and all of the abundance that is out there, and no matter what capacity that is, whether it's love, it's knowledge, it's financial abundance, it's really like relationships, friendships, family relationships, whatever that might look like, I think by attracting that, it's inherently going to come to you in divine timing. Do I think I'm worthy of it? Yes, I think everybody's worthy of it until, I don't know, I think as long as you believe that, you're going to attract that. So for myself, yes. Short answer, yes. I think I'm worthy of it, of the good things.
Good. I'm glad that you've arrived at that place. That's very important. What is your reaction, your response to the reversal of Roe v. Wade?
Oof, it's been a really rough 36 hours now, probably. It's been a lot of crying off and on, feeling really scared. I feel very degraded. I feel undervalued. And I don't know, it's being like a white woman in today's society. I very often found myself like, I don't understand. I will never understand, but with you I stand, with so many societal injustices that we've seen in this country in the last few years. And now, like, to be in a place where I was on the phone with my mom and she's like, oh, but like this, and that. And I'm like, no, Mom, like this is what's happening. And I'm terrified to see the direction that it's going to go. And now being on the side where I just feel so disenfranchised, I feel like I'm scared to leave my house. Like, and that's where I needed to get out of my house today and come and just sit here and like have faith that everything's going to be okay. But I'm really scared. And I had seen this quote like around social media that like, it's like the stages of grieving. We're going to be sad. We're going to be fearful. And then we're going to be angry, and we're going to put all of that fire into being the change and making that difference. Because I know like we're not going to stand for this. There's no way that that's like any of this is going to stick. Living in the state of Texas, it's scary because I'm at that much more of a disadvantage. And so that it starts there, honestly. So especially if now it's in charge of the states, everybody needs to get out there in November, and not just, you can sit on social media and talk about these things until you're blue in the face, hypothetically speaking, on social media, but unless you are out there actively voting and making a difference, nothing is going to change. Because I can sit here all day and hopefully, yeah, they're listening, but ultimately, like, that's what counts, and what makes that change is voting. So November, go vote, people.
Please vote, even if you're on the fence.
Yes, every voice matters. Every voice makes a difference.
Thank you.
Of course.
And your feelings about waking up to news of gun violence and death in this country.
That's another. I honestly feel like that's my worry. Back to your worry question, is like I worry everywhere that I'm at all the time, whether it's going to be somebody assaulting me because I'm a woman, somebody like using, like there being gun violence where I'm at, for whatever the fucking reason. And like this year, I was super excited to be able to celebrate Pride, like openly for the first time. And I'm scared to go to a Pride event because I feel like I'm going to get hate crimed. And now, like going to a rally for women's rights, I'm scared because gun violence is so prevalent in this country. And now that guns have more rights than I do, that's terrifying. When I was in Europe earlier this year, I was by myself for a majority of the time. I was walking down the streets of Prague at like 1 o'clock in the morning and felt so safe. I was not concerned for my safety whatsoever. And there was an entire language barrier there. That could have been me just on this blissful high of where I was and what I was experiencing. Somebody could have been plotting my demise right next to me in another language and I wouldn't have even known. But that's just not what happened. Like, obviously it can happen anywhere, but my dad was more nervous about me driving from Nevada to Texas by myself than he was about me going to Europe by myself. And I think that speaks volumes.
Understood. Yeah, there's a lot of people that just don't feel safe. They don't feel safe to show their true colors, to just move about the streets or anything like that. So I think that's the great push that people need to make, is to be intentional about making people feel safe. And one of the things that matters to me is specifically talking to men about what we can do and how much of this work falls upon us. Yeah. I think we really want to make things a lot better. We want to heal a lot of the pain that's been caused by our ancestors. Yeah.
So, and like it all starts like one person at a time. I like to think it's a chain reaction, but like something that I live by each and every day is being the change that you want to see in the world. And that's something that, like, wake up and start today and make a difference, either in like making someone feel safe in their sexuality and if they are like a person of color, making them feel safe, and no matter what their gender identity or expression is, making them feel safe and heard and allowed to be their most authentic selves. Because again, it goes back to like, it does not impact you, but that impacts them every time they leave their house. And so by building a space and a community for them where they don't have to worry so much, I think that should be each of our goals, like every day.
I love it. So that's all the questions I had for you. I wanted to quickly give you my impression of the energy. Basically, you seem really present. You seem grounded. It puts me at ease talking to you. I feel really accepted. I feel like it's really warm. I feel like I'm in your kindness, like in the kind of mind's eye of your kindness. And like, I also really noticed that you're very articulate and like, you really have a voice.
Thank you.
Like it really feels like you know your truth and you really know how to like walk within yourself and own it. And so I don't have any advice to you. I just want to encourage you to just keep walking with every single step and just be true to what you know, because I think staying true to what you know is going to bring a lot of good things to this world. And I think that you're very powerful. And I think that you're more loved than you even know. And when fear comes up, say hello and just go back to the love.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been really great. I'm glad that we were able to do this tonight. And it's a beautiful night in a beautiful city. So thank you for sharing your energy with me tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And you want to stand up and hug?
Sure, we can do that. Only fitting. Thank you, Miles.
Thank you.
Same sun, same stars, same world, same sky, same war, same blood, same tears, same lies, same pride, same strife, same struggle, same glory, one people, one life, our chance, our story.